Nobody does it, Bennett. Yes, I've gone and said it. Movies and games, some things that are lame. Nobody does it, Bennett.
Good evening and welcome. There are some superb movies ahead on Movie Review Universe. Next time, we'll join Jim Carrey as he puts on a mask and becomes a living cartoon character in the 1994 film, The Mask. Right now though, it's time for Jurassic Park. Hello, and welcome to Nobody Does It Bennett, Movie Review Universe, otherwise known as the MRU. I am your host, the Greg Bennett Experience, and tonight to join me for Jurassic Park is the man, the myth, the Matt. How are you tonight, Matt? Are you ready to talk some Jurassic Park?
I sure am. How are you?
Good. Getting over this cold that I've had since Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It was such a bad film.
That it just stuck to you.
It made me sick.
Yep.
It made me sick to my stomach. Gave me a cold. We're not here to talk about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That's in the past. And we won't talk too much about the film until we get the ratings, but just to warn people, I will be spoiling not only the film in this, but also a fair bit of the book written by Michael Crichton. So just a heads up that if you haven't read the book and you're intending to read it soon or are affected by spoilers from it, I am going to talk about the book, the differences between the book and the movie, as we go along through the film. So Matt, your experience with Jurassic Park, when was the first time you saw it?
I'm pretty sure it was on one of those Saturday Colgate features, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it was either around Christmas or around New Year's, where they used to just have back-to-back things without ads. And that was one of those times. I just remember sitting down on the couch and seeing a giant dinosaur's eye, running to my bedroom and grabbing my toy T-Rex from my King Kong and going, it was incredible. I've never seen dinosaurs on TV, especially that close, and then eating people was just, okay.
Yeah, when it came out, it was a movie ahead of its time. Especially the special effects, like, those dinosaurs, like the computer animations and practical effects mixed together. So good.
Yeah, and full animatronic suits of the Velociraptor scenes.
So do you have a favourite dinosaur, sir?
Probably the Velociraptor, but the more mundane one with the feathers. The feathered quill on the back of the head, the feathers arms, they used to talk to each other apparently.
So Jurassic Park, 3 raptors?
Yeah, basically.
Because I think in Dominion, which is coming out shortly, I think next year, they're going to have even more feathers on them next time.
Oh, cool.
They're really going to go feathered out for the Jurassic Parks.
I like that they're bringing a more natural state of what they would actually be like.
Yeah. My one's a dinosaur that really hasn't had its fair share in the Jurassic Park world. It was in the first movie, what we're going to show tonight, but it wasn't really in any other movie other than a hologram, I think, in Jurassic World, which is Dilophosaurus. Yes, I know that in real life, or in history, historical terms, the Dilophosaurus didn't have the thrill and the poison, but I just love that creature.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
It's a little hooting. So good.
It reminds me of the one with the big hard skull, and they run at each other. I always loved those. I thought those were awesome for a herbivore.
I think one of the smaller version of that is like the sticky Morlock or something. Yeah, it's a smaller version, but I'm trying to think what the other one is. I'm trying to think of my Jurassic Park evolution kind of history. Cause
all the things that you add onto the lists before you put them into there.
I remember seeing this film with my dad and my brother as a young whippersnapper in the movie theatres in 1993. The T-Rex attack scene on the cars being a very vivid memory from my first viewing. I went home and I think what I really thought about this movie was that attack with the T-Rex on the cars. It's like, oh, what a scene. Of course, Sam Neill being a New Zealander as well, and the lead in such a blockbuster Steven Spielberg film is something I love about it. Yes, I know, like most other countries, I'm not sure if they get the same kind of feeling, but personally, at least myself as New Zealander, whenever I see someone doing really good things overseas, you get that sense of pride.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Taika Waititi. Yeah, any New Zealand actor really. As soon as you see them on a big blockbuster movie, you're like, oh, New Zealander.
Yeah, even sports stars like Stephen Adams.
100%, yeah.
They've got like the country behind them, not just one district of the country. It's always the country because we're such a small place. We just like, I don't want to say latch on because it's not the right word, but we like to support people from our country, and Sam Neill being in this is like, oh, dream come true, and he's so good too.
Oh, he's a great actor.
If I didn't know he was New Zealander, I wouldn't have picked it from his accent.
No, you wouldn't have all, actually.
Right, so we'll give our ratings at the end of the film after we go through it. We don't run through the film like other podcasts, though. We, in fact, play out certain scenes as we run through the film, stopping to give our thoughts and opinions throughout. So you might get other reviews that just, talk about the movie, the review of the film as they're maybe giving a brief kind of rundown through it. No, we go through some scenes by scenes, and we just kind of go through the story. Helps us remember the movie and experience the movie as well. And hopefully people at home will also kind of get that same feeling, but also gives us a chance to have fun with voices.
Yeah, we did that with Big. It was good, actually. I kind of was reminiscing on the movie as we were playing it out.
Yeah, and that's what I'd like to do with podcasts personally myself, is when I listen to them, I like to kind of experience the movie again.
Yeah, it's good.
If you'd like to write into the show and give us your thoughts on Jurassic Park, or maybe how bad our voices are, well, you can. Who knows, we might read them on air. You can by going to the Nobody Does It Bennett Facebook page, or you can hit us up on the Twitter at NobodyDIBennett. You can also email us at nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com. That's nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com. That's a Bennett with 2 N's and 2 T's. Right, so unless you've got anything else you want to say before we start the film, Matt,
Ready as you are.
let's start the movie. Ladies and gentlemen, Jurassic Park from 1993.
Nobody does it, Bennett.
Movie begins with jungle sounds leading up to the reveal of the Jurassic Park title. There is also haunting humming type music that gives you the dark undertone straight away. So it's got the jungle sounds with a little bit of a hooting or howling in there as well. I'm like, oh, good way to set it up. Cut to a team of workers unloading some sort of creature out of a storage crate cage and into some enclosure. There is some chilling instrumental music when the camera cuts from the cage being lifted in by forklift. Then you cut to the stern yet prepared face of a man holding what looks to be a pump-action rifle. This is a pretty epic way to introduce the character of Robert Muldoon, the Raptor Keeper. The crate cage is put down by the forklift, right by the gate to the enclosure. I love the nighttime setting to this with all the smoke and the mystery. So when you're watching this, it's like, you see the bushes, you see the cages, but you don't see anything else around it.
Yeah, nothing. There's no discernible, are they in the middle of a zoo? Are they in the middle of a jungle? Are they... Yeah, they're everywhere.
You just don't know. And that's the beautiful thing, is it's a lot of mystery to start things off. And yeah, you kind of get kind of enthralled into it straight away too. Text comes up. Isla Nublar, 120 miles west of Costa Rica. The creature makes snorting noises in the cage.
Pushing team, move in there. I want tasers on, full charge.
Creature makes a shrieking noise. I love the raptor sounds.
Steady. Go on. Step back in. And push. We're locked. Loading team. Step away. Gatekeeper. Joffrey, raise the gate.
A man named Joffrey climbs to the top of the crate and slides open the gate to let the creature into the enclosure. As the gate is lifted, the creature rams the crate, forcing a gap in between the gate and the crate door. It also knocks Joffrey to the ground. He is then grabbed by the creature and dragged towards the crate door.
Block the opening! Don't let her get out!
Muldoon grabs Joffrey and tries to wrestle him free from the creature's grasp.
Work her back.
The workers start using their tasers to try and force the creature to the back of the cage. Then Muldoon looks directly into the raptor's eye and knows that she will not give up Joffrey, giving Muldoon only one option.
Shoot her! Shoot her!
You hear gunshots in the background, but it's too late. Muldoon loses his grip on Joffrey. Into the first part of the scene, so we talked about the mystery of it, but what an epic opening.
Yeah, it is epic. I was just thinking that thing. I was like, oh my god, he's just holding there and this guy's getting dragged away from him with full force of an animal. It's like, shoot her.
Yeah.
Just shoot her. What are you doing? And they're tasering her and all sorts of things with prods through the thing. Nothing.
And you just see the last shot you see of that whole scene is his arm getting sucked under his arm, pulled away.
Oof.
Cut to a man in a well-dressed suit, balancing on a makeshift raft, somewhere in a jungle. His suit looks too big for him, and you can just smell sleazy, high-priced lawyer, or perhaps a bigwig corporate person. Text comes up. Mano de Dios, Amber Mine, Dominican Republic. Lawyer is here to see Hammond, but he's not there. Apparently, they're facing a $20 million lawsuit for the death of Joffrey. Hammond had to leave early as his daughter was apparently getting a divorce. Could this be Tim's and Lex's parents? Because you don't actually know.
True, I didn't think of that. Maybe they've sent them on vacation with Grandpa because they're going through a rough time. Perhaps. Ooh, that's a good way to look at it.
Adds another spice to it that also in Jurassic World, the kids get sent off because the parents are getting a divorce.
Yeah, they do too. And that's why they get sent to the island to hang out with Auntie something.
Yeah, kind of work things out if they can. But yeah, that's kind of interesting thing where he says his daughter's having a divorce. It's like, is this Lex and Tim's parents? Maybe that's why they're there. Lawyer also mentions about how there are some safety concerns about the park. Park? What park could this be concerning? If 2 experts sign off on the island, then the insurance companies will back off. They already have Ian Malcolm, but apparently he's too trendy. They want Alan Grant. Mine Worker says how they will never get him to go to the island, as he is a digger. Cut to close-up of a mosquito trapped inside a hardened amber. Then cut to a bunch of people uncovering a dinosaur skeleton from the ground. Text says, Badlands, near Snakewater, Montana.
What a place. If anyone who's listening to this podcast is from Badlands, Snakewater Badlands, please write to us. I'd love to know how many tattoos you have, how many crocodiles you eat. That sounds like such a crazy place. Badlands, Snakewater.
If anyone thinks they're from a more badass sounding place, then please tell us what you think that is. Because I don't think there's anything more badass than Badlands, Snakewater.
No, not at all.
We get our introduction to Dr. Alan Grant and to Dr. Ali Sattler. I hate computers.
The feeling's mutual.
The team use a device that sends a shockwave down through the ground that shows an image on the computer monitor revealing the skeletal remains of a velociraptor.
How long does this usually take?
Should bring immediate return. You should radar into the ground, and then the bone bounces to the image back. This new program is incredible. A few more years development, and we won't even have to dig anymore. Hopefully that came out clear.
Yeah, that was good. That worked.
Where's the fun in that?
Velociraptor?
Yes. Good shape, too. It's 5-6 feet high. I'm guessing 9 feet long. And look at the half-moon-shaped bones in the wrists. It's no wonder these guys learned how to fly. The team around Ellen start to laugh. No, seriously. All right. Walla-baked dinosaurs have more in common with present-day birds than they do with reptiles. Look at these. Pubic bone, turned backward, just like a bird. Look at the vertebrae, full of air sacs and hollows, just like a bird. And even the word raptor means bird of prey.
That doesn't look very scary. More like a 6-foot turkey.
The group laughs. Alan Grant does not. A turkey?
Oh no.
Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period.
Here we go.
You get your first look at this 6-foot turkey as you enter a clearing. He moves like a bird, lightly bobbing his head. And you keep still because you think maybe that his visual acuity is based on movement, like a T-Rex. He'll lose you if you don't move. No, not Velociraptor. You stare at him and he just stares right back. And that's when the attack comes, not from the front, but from the side, from the other 2 raptors you didn't even know were there. Because Velociraptors are pack hunters, you see. He uses coordinated attack patterns. And he is out in force today. Alan pulls out a big curved claw from his pocket. And he slashes at you with this, a 6-inch retractable claw, like a razor on the middle toe. He doesn't bother to bite your jugular like a lion, say? No. He slashes at you here. He points across the chest. Or here. He points across the thighs. Or maybe across the belly, spilling your intestines. The point is, you are alive when they start to eat you. So, try to show a little respect.
Okay. Hey, Alan, if you wanted to scare the kid, you could have pulled a gun on him,
Yeah, I know. Kids. You want to have one of those?
I don't want that kid. but a breed of child Dr. Grant could be intriguing. I mean, what's so wrong with kids?
Ellie, look, they're noisy. They're messy. They're expensive.
Cheap, cheap.
They smell.
They don't smell.
Some of them smell.
Oh, give me a break.
Babies smell. I like they're arguing their own. It's just a baby smell.
Baby smell.
But yeah, that's a good introduction. I love that. I had to keep that scene in when he's telling the kid about how a raptor can kill you, because it also comes back later on with Muldoon when he's actually hunting it, because the one comes from the side and gets him. But also, the death he actually kind of explains to the little kid here is actually pretty much the death that Dr. Wu gets in the book. He doesn't actually make it out of the first Jurassic Park in the book, but of course he's in future sequels in the movie, so they keep him alive. In the actual book, he actually gets eaten by raptors, but he gets sliced open in the belly, and they're eating his intestines while they're looking at him. And like the end of the chapter talks about how he closes his eyes and goes into darkness. Ooh, brutal way to go.
Yeah, it would have. Goodbye.
A helicopter lands on the dig site, causing a mad rush to cover up all the discoveries. Alan and Ellie realize that the helicopter lands outside their trailer. Alan storms in. "What the hell do you think you're doing in here?" Mysterious man pops a champagne bottle. "Hey, we were saving that. For today, I guarantee it." I'm going to go for a David Attenborough voice for his, obviously Richard Attenborough is his older brother.
And now here we go.
"Who in God's name do you think you are?" "John Hammond, and I'm delighted to meet you finally in person, Dr. Grant." Hammond blows the dust off his hand from Alan's handshake, as Alan looks shocked about the fact that he just yelled at the guy who was funding his dig. "So, I can see that my $50,000 a year has been well spent." Ellie comes storming in.
Okay, who's the jerk?
This is our paleobotanist, Dr.
Sattler.
Ellie, this is Mr. Hammond. "I'm sorry about the dramatic entrance, Dr. Sattler, but we're in a hurry."
Oh, did I say jerk?
"Will you have a drink? We won't let it get warm. Come along, sit down, sit down." "Now, I'll get right to the point. I like you. Both of you. I can tell instantly about people. It's a gift. I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica. I've leased it from the government, and I've spent the last 5 years setting up a kind of biological preserve. Really spectacular, spared no expense. Make the one I've got down in Kenya look like a petting zoo. And there's no doubt our attractions will drive kids out of their minds. And what are those?"
Small versions of adults, honey.
I love that burn from Ellie. Yeah, it's a good one. "And not just kids, everyone. We're going to open next year. That is, if the lawyers don't kill me first. Now, I don't care for lawyers, do you?"
Oh, we don't really know any.
"Well, I do, I'm afraid. There's a particular pebble in my shoe who represents my investors. Says that they insist on outside opinions."
What kind of opinions?
"Well, your kind. Not to put too a fine point on it. I mean, let's face it. In your particular fields, you're the top minds. And if I could just persuade you to sign off on the park, give it your endorsement, maybe even pen a wee testimonial, I could get back on schedule. Schedule.
Why would they care what we think?
What kind of park is this? It's right up your alley. I'll tell you what, why don't you come down, just the pair of you, for the weekend? I'd love to get the opinion of a paleobotanist as well. I've got a jet standing by at Choto. Oh, look, I'm sorry, this isn't possible. We just dug up a new skeleton. I could compensate you by fully funding your dig. And this is a very unusual time. For a further 3 years.
Well, where's the plane?
Yeah. Okay. Cut to Costa Rica. We were introduced to Dennis Nedry, eating about 5 meals at once at a restaurant. He meets up with a rival of Hammond's, Dodson. Dodson gives Nedry a whole heap of money and a shaving canister that opens up from the bottom. This is how Nedry can store the dinosaur embryos he is about to steal. Dodson, we got Dodson here, Dodson! See? No one cares. I like that.
Dodson, Dodson.
You only see Nedry for about 2 minutes here, but you know all you need to know about him. He's a greedy, rotten man-child who is upset because he wants more money, even though Hammond is paying him more than a fair wage. Cut to Hammond, Ellen, Ellie, Dr. Ian Malcolm, and scumbag lawyer flying in a helicopter.
So, you two, dig up dinosaurs. Well,
We tried to. You'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm. He suffers from a deplorable excess of personality, especially for a mathematician.
Chaotician, actually. John doesn't subscribe to chaos, particularly what it has to say about his little science project.
Horn swallow in. You've never been able to sufficiently explain your concerns.
Oh, no. Because of the behavior of the system in phase space.
A load, if I may say so myself, of fashionable number crunching.
Dr. Sattler, Dr. Grant, you've heard of chaos theory? No? Nonlinear equations?
Ellie shakes her head.
Strange attractors? Dr. Sattler, I refuse to believe that you aren't familiar with the concept of attraction.
I bring scientists, and you bring a rock star. The scumbag lawyer looks surprised by Hammond's comments. He points to me like, me? I didn't do it. I'm the lawyer. You're a scumbag lawyer, though. Yeah. Ah, there it is. Isla Nublar Island comes into view. As it does, one of the main themes kicks in. The helicopter goes to land on a helipad. The ride starts to get bumpy, so everyone belts up, except for Alan, who has two of the same ends of a seatbelt. He struggles to click it together before just tying the belts together. I have heard in theory videos about how the belt ends that Alan has represents two female ends, making it impossible to attach. But Alan tying them together means he found a way to make it work. The example is to reflect how the female dinosaurs can breed. They adapt, just like Alan did. Life finds a way. So yeah, it's an interesting scene. I do like the growling of Ian Malcolm. How we mentioned it. It's so good. But yeah, it's a good way to introduce him straight away, kind of get his character down in one bit. After the helicopter lands, the group gets into the official Jurassic Park Jeeps. The large electrical fences come into play straight away. You kind of see those big towering fences as soon as you arrive.
Yeah.
The scumbag lawyer reminds Hammond that this is no weekend getaway for him. He's here to seriously evaluate what John is doing. If he's not convinced, the investors are not convinced, and they'll shut Hammond down. Hammond says that he'll be accepting the lawyer's apology by the end of the weekend. Sure? What bits? Yeah. The Jeep drives into an open field where Hammond orders the driver to stop. Here it comes. One of the most iconic moments in film history. Ellie is looking at a leaf, like a prehistoric leaf that no longer exists. As she's examining this, the camera zooms in on Alan, who has seen something startling. He gets to his feet in the back of the Jeep and shakes as he removes his glasses. He then grabs Ellie by the head, still looking at the amazing plant. He turns her head into the direction he was looking. She is at first slightly annoyed, but once she sees what Alan has seen, she rises up from the Jeep too. They are looking at a full-size adult Brachiosaurus. That moment's like, oh, it still gives me, the scene still excites me every time, and you hear that music, ma ma ma, ma ma ma.
It zooms out like.
What a scene though. The music is so perfect in the
That's
scene.
perfect for that, yeah.
So good. It's a dinosaur.
Uh-huh. You did it. You crazy son of a gun, you did it.
We could tear up the rule book on cold bloodedness. It doesn't apply. They're totally wrong. This is a warm-blooded creature.
This thing doesn't live in a swamp.
This thing's got what? 25, 27-foot neck. The Brachiosaurus, 30 feet. When the Brachiosaurus raises up and then comes back down, my room shook from the sound system. Visual effects still look pretty damn good as well. It's like, yeah, there's a little bit aging on there, like when we were watching it today. I was like, a little bit aging, but it still doesn't, like, it's still so good.
It still looks great.
It still looks pretty damn amazing.
We're gonna make a fortune with this place.
How fast are they? Well, we clocked the T-Rex at 32 miles an hour.
T-Rex? You said you've got a T-Rex.
Say again? We've got a T-Rex. Oh.
Put your head between your knees.
Dr. Grant, my dear Dr. Sattler, welcome to Jurassic Park. Ellen hears loud hoots and turns to see a herd of Brachiosauruses, as well as a group of Parasaurolophus. That's a hard way to say.
Oh my god.
Parasaurolophus.
Acidophilus.
Parasaurolophus. They're moving in herds. They do move in herds. How did you do this? I'll show you. The jeeps drive along the main building to the visitors center, the most advanced amusement park in the entire world, incorporating all the latest technologies. And I'm not just talking about the rides. Everybody has rides. Now we've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
So, what are you thinking?
That we're out of a job?
Don't you mean extinct?
I love it. Extra. Nah.
Because he does it on his own show. As Jeff, he goes, hang on. I'm forming an opinion. And then he just says something. It's crazy, Jeff Goldblum.
He's the crazy we all love.
Oh, he's great.
Hammond leads them into the cinema room that has a roller coaster stopper handlebars built into the seats. Hammond starts talking to a video version of himself on screen. How did I get here? Well, let me show you. First, I'll need a drop of blood. Your blood. Right. John, that hurt. Relax, John. It's all part of the miracle of cloning. Ellen, Ellie, and Malcolm start talking in amongst themselves. Cloned from what? Glory extractions never recreated an intact DNA strand.
Not without massive sequence gaps. Paleo DNA. From which source? Where do you get 100-million-year-old dinosaur blood?
What? What? Oh, well, Mr. DNA, where did you come from?
From your blood. Just one drop of your blood contains billions of strands of DNA, the building blocks of life. A DNA strand like me is a blueprint for building a living thing. And sometimes animals that went extinct millions of years ago, like dinosaurs, have left their blueprints behind for us to find. We just had to know where to look. 100 million years ago today, there were mosquitoes just like today. And just like today, they fed on the blood of animals, even dinosaurs.
You said 100 million years ago today.
Oh, I did too. 100 million years ago today. This exact day.
To the day.
To the day. 100 million years ago, there were mosquitoes just like today. And just like today, they fed on the blood of animals, even dinosaurs. Sometimes, after biting a dinosaur, the mosquito would land on the branch of a tree and get stuck in the sap. After a long time, the tree sap would get hard and become fossilized, just like a dinosaur bone, preserving the mosquito inside. This fossilized tree sap, which we call amber, waited for millions of years when the mosquito inside until Jurassic Park scientists came along. Using sophisticated techniques, they extract the preserved blood from the mosquito, and bingo, dino DNA. A full DNA strand contains 3 billion genetic codes. If we looked at the screens like these once a second for 8 hours a day, it'd take 2 years to look at an entire DNA strand. It's that long. Since it's that old, it's full of holes. Now that's where our geneticists take over. Thinking machine, supercomputers, and gene sequences break down the strand in minutes, and virtual reality displays show our geneticists the gaps in the DNA sequence. We use the complete DNA of a frog to fill in the holes and complete the code. Whew! And now we can make a baby dinosaur, soar.
There you go. Wow, bam. Like 4 or 5 things in a row, paragraphs in a row.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. The tour moves on. The roller coaster type handlebars come down, trapping the group in their seats as the cinema starts to spin around. It shows the dinosaurs' hatching rooms, but since it's a ride, they can't stop to see. Alan and Ellie don't like this, so they manage to push up the handlebars with Malcolm's help. They go into the egg hatching room. This is where we see Dr. Henry Wu for the first time. The book and film differ greatly with his character, giving him an opportunity to return for later sequels. As I mentioned before, how the kid who thought it was a 6-foot turkey, that whole describing how raptors ate him, is pretty much the Wu's way to die in the book. The group watch as Hammond encourages one of the eggs to break. The animatronics are pretty impressive in this scene. I do like the little raptor with the eggshell on him.
Perfect, actually.
So good.
With a wee strawberry jam. Yeah. Almost looks like.
It looks real, which is really what you're looking for in that scene. If it was like CGI today, I don't think we'd get away with it so much. They imprint on the first creature they come in contact with. That's it. It helps them to trust me. I've been present for the birth of every single creature on this island. Like he says, on this island, as Site B, Isla Sorna comes into play in coming sequels, so there's other islands.
Surely not the ones that have bred in the wild.
Actually, they can't breed in the wild. Population control is one of our security precautions. There's no unauthorized breeding in Jurassic Park.
And how do you know they can't breed?
Well, because all the animals in Jurassic Park are female. We've engineered them that way.
But, again, how do you know that they're all female? Does somebody go out in the park and pull up all the dinosaur skirts?
We control their chromosomes. It's really not that difficult. All vertebrate embryos are inherently female anyway. They just required extra hormone given at the right developmental stage to make them male. We simply deny them that.
Deny them that? John, the kind of control you're attempting is, it's not possible. Listen, if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's not life will be contained. Life breaks free, expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers, painfully, maybe even dangerously. But, well, there it is.
There it is. You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
Alan has the newborn dinosaur in his hands. What species is this? It's Velociraptor. You bred raptors? Cut to the raptor pen. This is the place we saw at the start of the film. So now you actually see it in its full light glory, you realise it's the same place that we saw. Alan is transfixed on the raptor pen with a deeply fascinated yet concerned look. Dr. Grant, as I was saying, we laid on lunch for you before you set out into the park. Our gourmet chef, Alejandro. What are they doing? Oh, feeding them. A cow was being hoisted up into the top of the raptor cage. Alejandro's prepared a delightful menu for us. Chilean sea bass, I believe. Shall we? The cow is lowered into the cage while Alan runs up to the top platform, hoping to see the raptors in amongst the tall foliage. All you can see is the rustling of plants and hear the loud shrieks of the raptors mixed in with the death sounds of the cow.
They should all be destroyed.
Ah ha ha! Robert Muldoon, my game warden from Kenya. I still laugh when I hear his name. I often wonder if Sam Neill did too, because of Rob Muldoon being a former Prime Minister from New Zealand.
Robert Muldoon. He would have probably had a laugh. He'd been like, oh, yep.
I would have gone, seriously?
Oh, Muldoon's back.
All right, then where's David Longy? Is he here too? Bit of an alarmist, I'm afraid. but knows more about raptors than anyone. Tell me, what kind of metabolism do they have? What's their growth rate?
They're lethal at 8 months, and I do mean lethal. I've hunted most things that could hunt you, but the way these things move?
Fast for a biped?
Cheetah speed, 50, 60 miles per hour. If they ever got out in the open, they're astonishing jumpers.
Yes. That's why we're taking extreme precautions. Do they show intelligence? What's their brain cavity?
They show extreme intelligence, even problem-solving intelligence, especially the big one. We've bred 8 originally, but when she came in, she took over the pride and killed all 8, but left the other 2. That one, when she looks at you, you can see that she's working things out.
And killed all 8, but left the other 2.
She killed all 8.
Killed
All of them, but there's 2 left. There's 2 left. They show extreme intelligence, even problem-solving intelligence, especially the big one. We bred 8 originally, but when she came in, she took over the pride and killed all but 2 of the others. That one, when she looks at you, you can see she's working things out. That's why we have to feed them like this. She had all them attacking the fences when the feeders came. The fences are electrified, right? That's right. But they never attacked the same place twice. They were testing the fences for weaknesses, systematically. They remember.
I like that Muldoon voice. It's really good. It's very proper. I like it.
That was trying to do the clever girl. Yeah. Like it's real thought out.
That's good. I really like it. The crane that the cow was on is pulled back up. The harness is all shredded and drizzled with blood. Yes, well, who's hungry?
Delusional Hammond. Everything's fine. There's chili and sea bass on the table.
That thing is ripped like a harness to shred. How many harnesses are they going to go through? Like a day? Because every time they're going to have to replace that harness, they can't use it again to hold another cow.
Just get mini helicopters and just...
The next scene is going to talk about how Hammond's like, no, we're going to make sure it's accessible and affordable for everyone. It's like, but how are you going to pay for all the cows that you're going to be giving away a day? Like probably 3 cows a day plus 3 harnesses.
Yeah, and all the animal welfare people.
Yeah, it's a lot of money you're going to have to get back.
Oh, yeah.
The group sit down for lunch on Jurassic Park plates. They have a nice golden trim around the edges. I looked at that plate. I was like, oh, it's fancy. I like that. The room they are in show future attractions on the walls. None of these attractions are ready yet, but the park will open with the basic tour you're about to take. And then other rides will come online 6 or 12 months after that. Absolutely spectacular designs. Spared no expense.
And we can charge anything we want. $2,000, $10,000 a day, and people will pay it. And then there's the merchandise.
Donald, this park was not built to cater only for the super rich. Everyone in the world has a right to enjoy these animals. This version of Hammond differs a fair bit from the one in the book. In the book, he's actually pretty much money grubbing, doesn't care about anyone but himself. He actually dies at the end of the book of Jurassic Park. He gets the compy scene from Lost World where the guy gets eaten by the compies. That is actually Hammond's death scene in the end of Jurassic Park.
That's insane. That would be such a way to go too, wouldn't
Yeah, I think he's trying to escape something. He runs out, I think leaves everyone else behind like the coward he is. Falls down a hill, breaks his leg and can't move and gets devoured by compies. Good way to go for him. But in this one they've changed it to be more like a grandfather figure. A more caring one, which I do like because
it plays better to the story when there's still a bit of emotion there.
It does.
And he didn't just leave everyone on the island and his grandkids. And
if he's soulless, I couldn't see the likes of Sam Neill and Ellie actually going with them.
Nah.
They would have gone, no amount of money is worth
exactly
what you're into. In fact, I don't like you at all. I'm going to,
we wouldn't have worked for you in the first place or done any of this dig for you if...
Yeah, if you're a scumbag. Speaking of scumbags.
Sure they will. We'll have a coupon day or something.
Yes.
Gee, the lack of humility before nature that's being displayed here, staggers me. Thank you, Dr. Malcolm, but things are a little different than you and I feared. Yeah, I know, they're a lot worse. Now wait a second. We haven't even seen the park yet.
Donald. Let him talk. There's no reason. I want to hear every viewpoint. I really do.
Don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power's the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun. It's hardly appropriate to start hurling. If I may, I'll tell you the problem with scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it, you know? You read what others hadn't, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourself, so you didn't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses, to accomplish something as fast as you could. And before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You're gonna sell it!
I like how he's like, in that scene, he's like unsure if he should get angry.
Yeah,
he's
just like bang, bang.
But his voice doesn't match.
No, it doesn't at all. You're going to sell it.
You gotta sell it. Sell it.
Rage. Arr. Angry, terrifying rage.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody has ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Condors. Condors are on the verge of extinction. If I was to create a flock of condors on this island, you wouldn't have anything to say.
Hold on. This isn't some species that was obliterated by deforestation or the building of a dam. Dinosaurs had their shot, and nature selected them for extinction.
I simply don't understand this looted attitude, especially from a scientist. I mean, how can we stand in the light of discovery and not act?
Well, what's so great about discovery? It's a violent, penetrative act that scars when it explores. What you call discovery, I call the desecration of the natural world. Well, the question is, how can you know anything about an extinct ecosystem? And therefore, how could you ever assume that you can control it? You have plants in this building that are poisonous. You picked them because they looked good. But these are aggressive living things that have no idea what century they're in, and they'll defend themselves. Violently, if necessary.
Dr. Grant, if there's one person here who could appreciate what I'm trying to do. The world has changed so radically, and we're all running to catch up. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look, dinosaurs and man, two species separated by 65 million years of evolution, have just been suddenly thrown back into the mix together. How can we possibly have the slightest idea of what to expect? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You're meant to come here and defend me against these characters, and the only one I've got on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer.
Thank you.
Well, they're here. Hammond invites some special guests to go along with the group on the tour. Some of the target audience, his grandkids Lex and Tim, who may or may not have a parents going through divorce.
Yep, we'll never know.
In the box, Tim is actually the older computer hacker sibling, and Lex is the younger one. But Spielberg changed them around so that he could cast Joseph Mazzello as Tim. Spielberg first came across Mazzello when he was casting Peter Pan's kids for the movie Hook. Mazzello was too young at the time, but Spielberg was so impressed that he told him he'll cast him in a future movie.
Far out.
I like the bit where the group are getting into their tour vehicles, and Tim, having read Alan Grant's book, keeps following and asking him all these questions. Once Alan gets Tim away from him, he turns around to see Lex. Ellie said she should ride with him as it would be good for him. Alan not being a fan of the kids really lends to the fact that later on he has to be the one solely responsible for getting them to safety, which is he has to grow as well as the kids do as well.
Yeah.
Good wee thing for it. The tour vehicles have that now classic Jurassic Park designs on it, the green, yellow and brown safari design. The vehicles are self-driving that run on an electric track and have an interactive CD-ROM built into the dash, spared no expense. Oh my god, it's an interactive CD-ROM! I love that when Lex says that.
Yeah, it's just a beep beep.
As the group are getting into the cars, you can hear Samuel L. Jackson's character of Ray Arnold speak over the intercom, reminding people that the boat at the docks will be leaving at 1900 hours. Ooh, foreshadowing. I love it. Meanwhile, in the command center, Muldoon lets Hammond know that a tropical storm is heading their way, about 75 miles west of their location. Muldoon says that he will keep an eye on it and hopes it will make a swing south like the last one. We meet Ray Arnold for the first time. He starts the tour program on Hammond's command. Ray always seems to have a cigarette hanging from his mouth. So if you watch, I think every scene pretty much in this movie, he's smoking.
Literally, or he's got like a butt in his mouth. And he's like, plastic.
One of them he was smoking the filter, wasn't he?
Just pure plastic. And he's like at the end of it. And he's like blowing it out his nose. He's like, and I'm like, that's just poison.
Well, it's all poison, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all poison, but you're smoking plastic now. It's even worse. That's probably why he said, hold on to your butts. I want to keep them so I can smoke them later. No. Hold on to your butts.
The tour begins. The cars head up to the iconic Jurassic Park gates, then drive through them. I love the yellow and red lettering. Kind of reminds me of McDonald's. And the tiki torches are a nice touch.
Yeah, I actually like the tiki torches. I thought those were cool coming into that. I was just like, that's what I put on all my Jurassic Park things, or like any of my theme park games that I play. There's always a tiki torch. I'm like, yeah, it's an island getaway.
It's also very King Kong like. That's why I think the next line that comes into it.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's very much like the gates in King Kong.
The giant skull island gate here. What have they got in there? King Kong?
The tour comes up to the Dilophosaurus enclosure first, but they don't see any. They're all hiding. Disappointing first enclosure. I love the Dilophosaurus in this, and even though in this they are not exactly what scientists believe to be accurate, or accurate, sorry, what scientists believe to be accurate. I can hardly say accurate for some reason. They are my favourite dinos in the series. I've got a feeling we might see them later. Headlights are running even though they are not currently needed. Item 151 on the glitch list. Hammond goes to talk to the person responsible for fixing the glitches. Dennis, our lives are in your hands, and you have butterfingers. I'm totally unappreciated in my time. You can run this whole park from this room with minimal staff for up to 3 days. You think that kind of automation is easy or cheap? You know anybody that can network 8 connections machines and debug 2 million lines of code for what I bid for this job? Because if so, I would like to see them. He says in this line, and there it is, what I bid for this job. There was actually a comic that came out, I think, after the original movie, where it tells the story about how Hammond actually hires Nedry. He hires him away, I think they mentioned he was in Cambridge originally in here, so they must have gone from Cambridge. Yeah. And he asks him how much it would cost him to actually come to work for him. He doesn't say what it's going to be, but he asks him how much it's going to cost. And Nedry says, I think it's about 3 or 4 times my pay that I'm getting paid now. And he goes, okay. Hammond says, fine. And then when he goes to work for him, he realizes exactly what Hammond's doing and realizes that if he'd asked for more, he probably would have got it.
True.
Because Hammond was just asking him how much he felt he was worth, so he made sure that when he asked him, then he wouldn't want a pay rise because...
And that's why he got pissed off at him.
Yeah, so what happens is he asks for a pay rise and Hammond says, no, we've already agreed to terms.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why he's all angry, because he's a greedy. He's just a guy who wants more. He always wants more.
He goes and does that second job in spite of him, really.
He has a hissy. He has a really messy area. Like, I think it's like even like an empty bottle on top of the monitor for no reason.
Yeah, there's everything.
It's just nasty.
Samuel Jackson just tiffs it all on the ground. Yeah, so but even the floor.
He says in here what I bid for this job, so he gave him a bid.
Yeah, 100% he must have.
I'm sorry about your financial problems, Dennis. I really am. But they are your problems. Oh, right, John. You're absolutely right. Everything's my problem. I will not get drawn into another financial debate with you, Dennis. I really will not. There's hardly been any debate at all. I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I do ask that they pay for them. Thanks, Dad.
Dennis, the headlights.
Yeah, I'll debug the tour program when I get back, okay? Okay? I'll eat a lot of compute cycles. We'll lose part of the system. There's a finite amount of memory. You can't use it for everything. Are you going to compile for half an hour?
Quiet, all of you. They're approaching the Tyrannosaur paddock.
The tour comes to the T-Rex enclosure. They see nothing.
God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat man. Woman inherits the earth.
I love how Malcolm and Ellen look at her when she says that. They're like, haha. You see Ellen's actually smiling. He's like, ha. But Malcolm's like, what? They bring up a goat via some sort of elevator in the enclosure. Lex is not impressed, as she happens to be a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian, and I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. The poor goat's just stood there.
A live goat that gets mauled by a T-Rex. I mean, come on. T-Rex doesn't want to be fed. He wants to hunt. You can't just suppress 65 million years of gut instinct. Nothing happens, so they move on. The sky is getting noticeably darker. The storm is approaching.
Now, eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right? Hello? Yes?
I really hate that man.
I loved that scene. He clicks to the camera, and it must have gone red to say recording or cameras on, and then he's just gone straight to the camera and gone, so, you're going to have dinosaurs on this thing? And he's just like, oh, I hate him. Love it.
It's a good scene. Malcolm gives Ellie an explanation of chaos theory, while also noticeably hitting on her. Ellen sees something in the distance, so he just opens the car door and rolls us out. Muldoon says to Hammond how many times does he have to tell him they need locking mechanisms on the car doors. Nedry is looking at security footage of the cold storage units and the East Docks, with the Barbasol can on his desk. The group goes through some long grass and come across a sick Triceratops. This is another difference to the book. In the book, it's a Stegosaurus and not a Triceratops. This was changed as Spielberg's favourite dinosaur is the Triceratops. But now, the scene makes no sense. As Ellie investigates what could be making the animal sick, apparently they get sick every 6 weeks or so. There are some poisonous plants around the Triceratops area, but the keeper says how the animals don't eat them. Ellie searches the dinosaur poop to make sure, but finds none of the plant. Or berries. Ellie stays behind to help the Triceratops while the rest of the group return to the tour cars. The sky is even darker now. I do love the meme that was created using the part of the scene with Alan Grant putting his head to the stomach of the Triceratops. And in awe of hearing its heartbeat, the meme, however, has Alan doing this on Ian Malcolm's chest.
Yeah.
When he's injured later on.
Alan's face too. He's like, oh my God.
Bro, here's the reason why the Triceratops scene makes no sense. The reason the Triceratops scene makes no sense is because the reason the Stegosaurus were getting sick was because they have no teeth. This means that Stegosauruses used to swallow a bunch of rocks every 6 weeks or so and keep them in their stomach. They would use the stones to digest their food. Once the grip of the stones had lost their grippiness, or smoothed off if you will, they would get rid of the stones and replace them with new ones. The poisonous plant was getting on the stones that the Stegosaurus were swallowing, hence making them sick. Triceratops had teeth, so they would not need to swallow the stones, hence they wouldn't get sick.
Huh. Well, there you go then.
Yeah, but no, I guess people were like, no one will notice.
Dinosaur people won't notice this. We'll just sneak this in there, it's fine. Like in Saving Private Ryan when there was a guy in a crew t-shirt down the bottom with orange headphones on laying a cable while bloody Tom Hanks sat there beside a car dying.
Muldoon gets some news on the phone about the storm.
The storm center hasn't dissipated or changed course. We're going to have to cut the tour short, I'm afraid. Pick it up again tomorrow, where we left off.
Are you sure we have to?
It's not worth taking the chance, John.
Tell them when they get back to their cars. Ray goes back onto the intercom.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last shuttle leaving for the docks leaves in 5 minutes.
Hammond slams his cane down. Damn! Nedry sets up his Jurassic Park systems plan. The storm is really starting to pick up. It's funny because when he looks like he's starting to execute the plan, all of a sudden the next scene it goes straight to lightning. He's like, whoa, can Nedry control the weather?
He isn't just a hacker.
He hacks the weather.
He's Jamie Foxx from that Spider-Man movie.
Electro.
Where he can control everything. Nedry.
This movie's secretly in the MCU. Mate, it's all connected. It's all connected. The storm is really starting to pick up. Guys at the dock tells Nedry that the captain has to go now. As he's talking, you can see waves of water going past the guy's legs. It's like, yeah, they really need to go now, Nedry.
Like, one more wave and he's gone.
Yeah.
And what, is that the captain?
He'll be washed out.
He was like, where's the captain gone? He went to use the phone and he's gone.
Nedry begs for more time, as the test run took him 20 minutes. Guy at the docks tells Nedry that he can't make any promises. The visitor vehicles are on their way back to the garage, or garage, whatever way you want to say it. So much for our first tour. 2 no-shows and 1 sick Triceratops.
It could have been worse, John. A lot worse.
Dennis asks if anybody wants anything from the machine, as he's going to get something. He mentions how he finished debugging the phones. He also mentions that he's compiling, so some of the minor systems might go on and off for the next 18 to 20 minutes, but nothing to worry about. Nedry then executes his plan that will shut off the necessary cameras, alarms, and gates to execute his plan of stealing the dinosaur embryos and getting to the boat at the docks. Malcolm and Ellen chat. You find out that Malcolm has kids and a few ex-wives. He's always on the lookout for a future ex-Mrs. Malcolm. Nedry gets through the security doors to the embryos. Ray thinks it's odd that door security systems are shutting down, but Hammond reminds him that Nedry said some systems would go down. Nedry steals the embryos. Some of the embryos he takes are Proceratosaurus, T-Rex, Gallimimus, Velociraptor, and Stegosaurus. There are some other ones, but I couldn't get the full shot of the names. Nedry then puts the lid back on the canister. Malcolm asks Ellen if Dr. Sattler has seen anyone and finds out the awkward way that her and Ellen are involved. It's like, so you and...
Yes.
Oh. He's like, yeah.
Oh, okay. He just stops it, drops the conversation.
The tour vehicles stop again at the T-Rex enclosure, this time in pitch black and pouring with rain. Fences start to go down across the park. Hammond orders Muldoon to find out where Nedry is. He's like, check all the vending machines. Nedry takes a jeep and manually opens the main gates while Ray tries to figure out what Nedry has done. Raptor fences are still on. Hammond wonders why he would turn the other ones off. You then see Nedry opening gates that are usually electrified. Nedry tries to drive through the pouring rain, but he drives right into the sign that pointed to the east docks. Now he has no way of knowing exactly which way to go.
I wonder what way it was, because I went through that scene like 6 times to see if I could see what way the arrow was pointing as he skidded into it, but you just can't get the right angle, and I'm like, damn it, I want to know if he was actually going the right way left and screwed up by going, oh, crap.
Yeah, because he's going through enclosures after a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, couldn't happen till nights ago. The group wait in the jeeps for help to arrive. Tim starts playing with some night vision goggles, but Scumbag Lawyer tells him to put them away. I keep calling them Jeeps, but they're actually Ford Explorers, so...
Oh, yeah, they were too. There was a red and other ones that were Jeeps, weren't there?
Jeeps are the ones that weren't connected to the rail line. All the ones connected to the rail lines are Ford Explorers. Then the iconic water vibrations happen. This was something Spielberg really wanted to do and tried all these different things to try and get it to happen. Finally, someone had the idea to put a guitar string underneath the dash. When the string was plucked, the vibrations would occur.
Oh, I had no idea. That's actually quite a good bloody idea.
Because he spent a lot of money trying to figure out other ways, and then someone just got a guitar string and plucked it, and it worked. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the best ones. The T-Rex is coming. Tim looks through the night vision goggles and sees that the goat is now gone. Michael Jordan, I called him because Michael Jordan's the goat. It's now gone. Yeah. It soon comes back though. Well, at least part of it does. Across the window roof of the front Jeep that Lex and Tim and Scumbag Lawyer are in. The T-Rex then tests the fence and finds out that it is off. So it's pretty smart for a T-Rex to test the fence. You didn't think I would give him that much credit, but there you go. Scumbag Lawyer runs out of the car, leaves the damn door open, and runs to nearby toilets. He left us! He left us! And where does he think he's going?
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Malcolm and Ellen then see the enclosure fence being plucked away. It's like bing, bing, bing. It's like, it's a good tune. The T-Rex comes out of the enclosure. The roar is something magically terrifying.
Boy, I hate being right all the time.
Keep absolutely still. Its vision is based on movement. Lex turns on a torch, which attracts the T-Rex to the Jeep. Tim then closes the Jeep door that Scumbag Lawyer left open. Good one, Scumbag Lawyer. This is noticed by Rexy. So the name of the actual T-Rex is Rexy. Rexy is the one that comes back in Jurassic World, the old T-Rex.
Oh, that's cool.
The shot of Rexy looking into the Jeep while Lex sits there with the torch on is great. Quite a few movies have copied the shot since then. The eye looking through the window. Godzilla was a big rip-off of that.
So many. Yeah, 100%.
But no one has really done it better, because how can you perfect that? It's brilliant.
No, you can't really. I mean, they've done underwater ones. They've done the Megalodon one as well. With that, with the girl that's standing there underwater and the Megalodon goes past and its eye just goes and goes big.
Nothing's beaten it so far to me.
Yeah, nah.
Rexy attacks the Jeep. The kids have only the roof glass to protect them from T-Rex's jaws. Rexy then starts to tip the car over, chewing its tyres and standing on it, giving Lex and Tim very little room to move. Mud starts to flow in as the car continues to be crushed. That's terrifying with all the mud starting to fill into the bottom of the car so you could drown in mud.
That was horrible.
Either you get crushed by a T-Rex or you drown in mud. What do you want?
So horrible.
Alan then jumps out of the other car and uses a flare to distract Rexy and lead her on a wild goose chase. Malcolm, though, also liked to flare, telling Alan to save the kids. He runs with the flare, but when he throws it away, he continues to run, causing Rexy to chase him.
It would have been fine if Malcolm had just stayed in the car.
This is another thing different to the book. During shooting this scene, Jeff Goldblum asked Steven Spielberg if he could do something different. Originally, Malcolm was supposed to run away like the lawyer did. That is what happens in the book. But Goldblum felt Malcolm would be more heroic, so the scene with the flare was added in.
He's not wrong, though. He would be, though. He's a bit of a dick, but he wasn't a coward.
No, and it also leads to the next sequels and stuff when he has to go back. He's more heroic because he's going to save his girlfriend. And
and he takes that big made truck that he builds himself. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I liked that. Yeah,
he's 100%. A man of
100%.
character. Yeah, he's not a scumbag. Malcolm ends up getting knocked into the toilet area by Rexy and covered in debris, while scumbag lawyer, who is now sitting on a toilet with no shelter around him, gets eaten by Rexy. So long, scumbag lawyer. I ain't gonna miss you.
Nope. Good day, sir.
It's still one of the most iconic deaths in Jurassic Park, is that on the toilet seat.
And as he's getting eaten, the only thing that's going through my head is
$2,000, $10,000 a day.
So, no, you did.
You ain't going to see any of that
You
because
ran away from the children, so you got what you deserved.
he surely did. Alan tries to free the kids. He gets Lex out, but Tim is stuck. Lex starts to scream when she sees the T-Rex. Alan covers her mouth. Don't move. He can't see us if we don't move. Rexy investigates, gets right by Alan and Lex, even blows Alan's head off with her nostrils. Rexy then starts knocking around the car, spinning it. Alex and Lex move to avoid the car. Alan and Lex then start to climb down the enclosure using cables. And you're right, the enclosure wasn't that big. Like you mentioned earlier, the enclosure was massive.
And then there's like a 140-foot tree that the truck manages to slide down. And I'm like, how did the T-Rex climb that with those little arms?
It must be a hill somewhere. I think.
Yeah, they must just build a big false giant wall the whole way between it and then just like added the terrain.
I imagine something like that.
Because it was flat ground where the goat came up. And then it dropped off and was just a big sheer wall, so it could have just been down more.
Rexy is pushing the car off the edge, closer and closer to falling onto Alan and Lex. Alan swings across so Lex can grab another cable and avoid the incoming car falling on him. Just a reminder, Tim is still in the car. Meanwhile, Ray is still trying to get the systems back online. Ellie has now made her way to the control center. Ellie and Muldoon set out with a jeep to get Hammond's grandchildren back.
I can't get Jurassic Park back online without Dennis Nedry.
Cut to Nedry driving through the storm. Nedry loses control and gets stuck on a small waterfall. Nedry grabs the hook on the front of the Jeep's tow bar and falls down the waterfall and loses his glasses. He then goes to tie the cable around the tree. While doing this, he comes across a Dilophosaurus.
Just a friend.
Oh, nice boy. Nice dinosaur. Thought you were one of your big brothers. You're not so bad. Nedry says how he has no food on him, and then tries to play fetch with the Dilophosaurus, but the Dilophosaurus does not move. I do love the little chirps it makes. Ah, no wonder you're extinct. I'm going to run you over when I come back down. Nedry then starts climbing up the waterfall. As he is climbing, he is again greeted by a Dilophosaurus, only this time it lets its frail out and starts sounding like a rattlesnake. It spits sticky poisonous venom on him. Nedry runs away towards the car, but as he looks back towards the Dilophosaurus, he gets hit in the eyes with poison. Nedry panics and runs to his car and hits his head on the car roof, knocking him down again, but also knocking the Barbasol can out of his pocket and down to the bottom of the waterfall. Nedry gets back in his car and closes the door, only to find a Dilophosaurus in the car with him. The Dilophosaurus devours Nedry. That's a good way for him to go. Like, there's a graphic artist image of how Nedry would have looked after the attack, but it's on YouTube, but only for people with strong stomachs. It's like a real nasty kind of artistic view of his face has been melted, and because the poison would have set in. Yeah.
The toxicity, toxins, all that.
The question often asked is, how does the Dilophosaurus get in the car without the audience seeing it? The answer is quite simple once you think about it. Do you know how the Dilophosaurus gets in the car?
Nah. Would it have just jumped through the door when he opened it and fell?
No, because you would have seen it.
Oh, you would have too.
The camera shows you that he would have gone in. But there's a simple explanation for this all. There was more than one Dilophosaurus.
Oh, of course.
The one in the car had been there for some time. Because he left the door open. Everyone leaves the door open in this
And it
movie.
would have just jumped in going, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the other one was actually working him back towards the car. So when he got in the car, he had nowhere to go.
Which is why it spat at him and made him blind. He's like, oh, no, I've got to get out of here then. And it's like, yeah, okay.
I mean, it felt like he was going to get away. It would have chased him more. But it was almost like
It was waiting for him.
it was hurting him it's like a sheepdog.
Yeah, because it never went at him until the very end. And then it was like, right, I want you to go up from here now.
Very smart, those creatures.
Yeah, I like that.
So the novel goes into far more graphic detail about Nedry's demise than the movie does. Michael Crichton's book is much more of a horror.
Black, toxic stuff on your face. Though.
What it things like is it's from first-person view. So Nedry sees the Dilophosaurus from far away and it goes, it spits something at me. It feels warm, and all of a sudden a severe pain comes over me. And like he goes, and as I was walking, all of a sudden I feel like I've been punched in the gut. And then this really warm kind of feeling of something in my hands. That's when I realized I was holding my own intestines. And then goes, and then I get this really, really severe aching pain in my head. And he realizes that the Dilophosaurus is actually biting his head. The only thing now is to wait for the sweet release of death.
Literally, yeah.
Crichton, that's what he says in his book. It's graphic how it goes into.
You wouldn't even feel it. You'd just be
Alan prepares to rescue Tim from the car that is now in a tree. Now, Lex, listen, Lex. I'm right here. I'm going to look after you, but I have to go help your brother. So I want you to stay right here and wait for me. He left us. But that's not what I'm going to do, okay? Stay here. Alan climbs a tree and sees Tim in the car. Tim climbs over to Alan, hitting the steering wheel and moving the wheels in the process. Alan and Tim start climbing down when they notice the car slipping from the tree. I haven't said this yet, but during that whole T-Rex encounter and up to this point, there is no music.
No, there's nothing. Yeah, I noticed as soon as you said that, I was like, it's dead. Yeah. There's not there's not any theatrical bit when he killed the guy in the toilet. There was nothing. It was all sound effects. I think it was making it sound more real. Boom, boom, boom. It would too, though. You'd hear the pissing down of rain, the crunching of the metal, the scraping, the breaking of trees, and it would just... It was music in itself, really.
It's only until you realise that the music comes in later on that it's actually, oh yeah, we haven't even listened to any music.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
So it's very smart. It grabs you into the scene.
It does. That kind of just makes you sit there, and if anyone was to be like, oh, blah, 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 you'd be like, shh.
Yeah, absolutely. Notice there is no music until the car almost hits Alan. Until then, this scene only has sound effects of water, animals, and insects. Alan and Tim race down the tree, but as they are running away, the car comes down and starts to flip forward. Alan and Tim have the car come down on them, but Alan times it so that they are in the gap where the roof used to be. What timing?
It's almost as scary as being chased by the actual dinosaur itself. So there's a 3.5 ton truck sitting above me, being held by trees, and the trees are breaking as we're moving down them. So, well, we're back in the car again.
Well, at least we're out of the tree. Ellie and Muldoon show up at the T-Rex enclosure looking for survivors. The rain has now stopped.
I think that was Gennaro. I think this was too.
Ellie then finds Malcolm underneath debris. He's injured, but alive.
Ian? Remind me to thank John for a lovely weekend.
They then hear the loud roar of Rexy in the distance.
Do we chance moving him? Please, chance it.
Ellie then sees the edge of the enclosure and notices the other car at the bottom. When they get down there, they see footprints leading the way. As Malcolm waits at the back of the Jeep, he hears a familiar sound of footsteps coming towards him. The footprint puddle confirms his concerns. This almost sounds like it's fourth wall, like he's talking to the audience.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Because there's no one else around, and the way he's talking doesn't sound like he's talking to himself.
Yeah, he's just like, anybody hear that? It's an impact tremor. That's what it is. I'm fairly alarmed here.
It's almost like an audition for Blue's Clues. Did anyone hear what that was?
Yeah, no. Well, I did. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
Ah, the dinosaur! Ah!
We just got a letter. Rawr. Wonder who it's from. Rawr. Come on. We've got to get out of here. Now, right now.
Allie and Muldoon race back to the Jeep and drive off with the T-Rex chasing behind.
Must go faster.
Love the side mirror. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. That's pretty good. Jeep manages to get into fifth gear and pace away from Rexy, who gives up the chase.
Think they'll have that on the tour?
Alex, Tim, and Lex climb up a tree so they can stay safe for the night. Tim doesn't like trees anymore because of the last one. When they get up into the tree, they see some brachiosauruses. Alan makes some brachiosauruses type sounds. Alan gets down to rest and gets a stabbing pain in his back. It's the raptor claw he carries around. The kids then go to sleep. Alan promises to stay awake all night while they sleep in case any dinosaurs come. Alan then throws the raptor claw away. Alan has become a surrogate dad.
Basically.
Cut to the visitor centre, where you get a glimpse of the souvenir shop. Jurassic Park lunchboxes are there, just like Malcolm said, as well as soft toy dinosaurs and some pretty cool but very 90s t-shirts. Ellie sees Hammond eating ice cream at one of the restaurant tables. They were all melting.
Malcolm's okay for now. I gave him a shot of morphine.
They'll be fine. Who's better to get the children through Jurassic Park than a dinosaur expert?
Oh, perhaps he just ignores it. They'll be fine.
He hates that man, remember? That last scene, he didn't care. You know, the first attraction I ever built when I came down from Scotland was a flea circus, Petticoat Lane. Really quite wonderful. I had a wee trapeze and a merry-go, a carousel, and a seesaw. They all moved, motorized, of course. People would say they could see the fleas. I could see the fleas, Mummy. Can't you see the fleas? Clown fleas and high wire fleas and fleas on parade. But with this place, I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion. Something that was real. Something that they could see and touch. An aim not devoid of merit.
But you can't think through this one, John. You have to feel it.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Hiring Nedry was a mistake. That's obvious. We're over-dependent on automation. I can see that now. Now the next time, everything's correctable.
John.
Creation is an act of sheer will. Next time, it will be flawless.
It's still the flea circus. It's all an illusion.
When we have control.
You've never had control. That's the illusion. I was overwhelmed by the power of this place, but I made a mistake too. I didn't have enough respect for that power, and it's out now. The only thing that matters now are the people we love. Ellen, Lex, and Tim. John, they're out there, where people are dying.
I like that scene with the ice cream. It's very, because I do feel bad for Hammond.
She's just like, you need to wake up.
Yeah, he's still stuck in his illusion that everything can fall into place, but people are dying, and he's still not really registering that this place is not ever going to be commercially viable if people are dying. And you got to wake up and realize when the plan's not working. Alan and the kids are woken up by a brachiosaurus. When it gets close enough, Lex goes to pat it. Alan says, "Think of it as a kind of big cow." As Lex leans in, the brachiosaurus sneezes on her. Ooh, some of that dino mucus went in her mouth. It's gross. No, it's in my mouth. It's in my eyes.
In my eyes.
Alan, Lex, and Tim are walking when they come across some eggshells. You know what this is? It's a dinosaur egg. The dinosaurs are breeding.
But my grandpa said that all the dinosaurs were girls.
Amphibian DNA. What's that? Well, on the tour, the film said they used frog DNA to fill in the gene sequence gaps. They mutated the dinosaur genetic code and blended it with that of frogs. Now, some West African frogs have been known to spontaneously change sex from male to female in a single-set environment. Malcolm was right. Look. Alan points to some little dino footprints. Life found a way. Cut to a shot of Ian Malcolm lying down injured with his shirt ripped open. The birth of sexy Ian Malcolm memes. I have the pop vinyl. But it is. He's like sweaty, shiny.
Just heavy breathing.
Heavy breathing. He's like lying down in a very sexual way.
Just staring at them like, what are we doing now?
Yeah, I've Leonardo DiCaprio had his sketchbook out there. Ooh, be warned. Ray is arguing the plan. Hammond talks about a calculated risk. They will never find the command that Nedry used, so the only option left is to do a complete reboot of the system. Ray argues that in theory this will reboot all the systems, but it has never been tested. The system might not even come back. Muldoon speaks about the lysine contingency. This is a plan to prevent the spread of animals in case they got off the island. Dr. Wu inserted a gene that creates a faulty enzyme. The animals can't manufacture the amino acid, lysine. Unless they're supplied with lysine, the animals slip into a coma and die. But then Ray changes his mind and he shuts down the system.
Hold on to your butts.
Ray reboots the system. Nothing seems to happen, except on the computer it says now, system ready. I don't believe 90s computers could ever be that fast.
No way. No floppy disks.
It's like they reboot the system and within seconds it's ready to go. What happens to you turn this off without actually turning it off properly? Here's a million things we have to go through.
Windows recovered from an unexpected shutdown. Here are every single problem you had, and now you've got a corrupt hard drive and it won't boot. Blue screen. It's okay. Look, see that? It's on. It worked. Wait a minute. What do you mean it worked? Everything's still off. Well, maybe the shutdown tripped the circuit breakers. All we have to do is turn them back on, reboot a few systems, telephone, security, doors, half a dozen others, but it worked. Systems ready. Where are the breakers? Maintenance shed. The other end of the compound. 3 minutes. I can have that power back on in the entire park.
Now, just to be safe, I want everybody in the emergency bunker until Mr. Arnold returns, and the whole system's up and running again. Alan, Lex, and Tim are walking in an open field when they spot a flock of gallimimuses. They run away from the flock and hide behind a log. They watch as Rexy kills and eats one of the gallimimuses. I want to go now! Look how it eats. I bet you'll never look at birds the same way again.
Yes.
Go now! Okay, keep low and follow me.
Look how much blood.
Cut to the bunker. Ellie thinks something must have gone wrong. This is just a delay. All major theme parks have delays. When they opened Disneyland in 1956, nothing worked.
Yes, but John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
Ellie and Muldoon decide to head out to get the power turned back on. Muldoon grabs the good rifles. So he opens this thing up and is like, I'll grab the good rifles. Ellie grabs a walkie and gives the other to John. It ought to be me, really going.
Why?
Well, because I'm, and you're,
Look, we can discuss sexism in survival situations when I get back. Just take me through this step by step. I'm on channel 2.
Right. Ellie and Muldoon come out of the bunker door. They walk past the raptor cage and realize they've escaped.
Oh, God. The shutdown must have turned off all the fences. Damn it. Even Nedry knew better than to mess with those raptor fences. Come on, this way.
Ellie and Muldoon come to a jungle area. Looks to be clear.
I can see the shed from here. We can make it if we run.
No, we can't. Why not? Because we're being hunted in the bushes straight ahead. It's all right.
Like hell it is.
Run, Towards the shed. I've got her. Go, now.
Ellie runs for the shed while Muldoon keeps an eye on the raptor. Ellie makes it inside. John gives her directions to where to go. Malcolm doesn't agree with John's directions. Meanwhile, Ellen and the kids come to a giant fence that may or may not be electrified. Ellen throws a stick at it. Seems to be off. Then Ellen grabs the fence and pretends to get electrocuted. Was that really the best time for jokes, Ellen?
It's horrible. Such a Kiwi thing to do. Just saying that's such a stupid, like, and the worst thing, some like your friend's just broken your leg out in the middle of a paddock somewhere, and then you fall over and pretend to break your leg too. Yeah. It's like, why did you just do that?
We're in giant peril. Let's have a joke. Ellen realizes they have to climb over the fence when they hear the roar of the T-Rex behind them. Ellie comes to a dead end. Hammond tries to redirect her before Malcolm grabs the walkie off Hammond and tells Ellie to follow the pipes and cables above her. Meanwhile, Ellen and the kids continue to climb. Ellie finds the circuit breakers. Meanwhile, Ellen and the kids continue climbing the fence. Ellie pumps up the primer and pushes the button to start up the circuit breaker. The fence alarm starts to go off, warning that the electricity is coming back online, but Tim is still high up on the fence. Ellie starts individually turning all the sections back on. It's a good thing she didn't start from the bottom, because the last one she presses is the one actually where Tim is. If she started from the bottom, he would have no chance. Ellen tells Tim that he's going to have to jump. Tim reluctantly agrees to jump on the count of 3. 1, 2, but before they get to 3, the power comes back online, sending Tim flying. Ellen catches Tim, but he's not breathing. The power comes back on in the maintenance shed.
Mr. Hammond, I think we're back in business.
Mr. Hammond, I think we're back in business. Just as Ellie says her line, a raptor attacks from behind her. Ellie gets out of the circuit breaker cage, and when she does, the reassuring hand of Ray Arnold taps her on the shoulder. It's just too bad that the arm is all that's left of dear old Mr. Arnold.
Oh, Mr. Arnold.
Just an arm. No cigarette, though? I'm shocked. I thought he would have gone out for a cigarette.
That's the only reason they caught him. He went outside for a quick smoke, then he was going to go do the job, and they were just like, oh, we'll just eat him.
And then you see the raptor smoking. They took his pack of smokes.
And you're sitting there going... That's why they were sitting there smiling in the kitchen like, tobacco, nicotine.
So Samuel L. Jackson has mentioned that he was in fact supposed to film his death scene, but a hurricane hit Hawaii, so he could not shoot the scene. So that's why it's...
Oh, wow. That's why it was just dirt, and then an arm.
Yeah, I think it works better not knowing, though.
I like that.
Yeah, if you'd seen him die, then you were like, when you have the arm come down, you're like, oh, that's going to be a dead body. But the fact that you don't know he's dead...
Yeah, and then she's just freaking out. You're like, oh, Mr. Arnold, because you're like, oh, true, he's in this scene, and then he's not anymore.
No, just an arm. Ellie runs as the raptors break through the chicken wire fencing and chase after her. Ellie makes it out of the maintenance shed. When she closes the cage door, she's like, she completely breaks down. Meanwhile, Muldoon is still tracking the raptor from before. As he prepares to line up a shot on the raptor, another one appears right next to Muldoon.
Clever girl.
Muldoon tries to bring his gun around, but it's too late. Through the ferns, you can actually see the raptor's jaws around Muldoon's face.
Like that. Yeah. Like, as...
Oh. He didn't deserve that. So this is the death I feel is the most undeserving, as Muldoon was cautious, smart, and respectful. He did not deserve to die. Which is funny, in the book, he doesn't. In the book, he survives.
Oh, right. That's weird.
I think he crawls into a pipe to escape the raptors and they can't get to him.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. But they killed him in this. Ellen uses CPR to revive Tim. They head to the visitors center. Ellen leaves the kids in the restaurant while he goes looking for the others. It's all right, guys, we're in a dangerous situation still. Let's split up. Tim and Lex start eating some of the food. Ellen reunites with Ellie. The kids are eating when Tim notices Lex's petrified persona. She starts to shake uncontrollably. A silhouette of a raptor appears behind Tim, right next to a raptor picture on the wall. Lex and Alex run into the kitchen and hide. A raptor snout appears in a kitchen door window. The effect of the snout snorting out condensation is pretty damn good. It's like this is the breath on the window. It's like, so good because there would be no physical effects. Cut back to Ellen loading the rifle. It's just 2 raptors, right? You sure the third one's contained?
Yes, unless they've figured out how to open doors. Ha!
Cut to a raptor figuring out how to open doors.
Love that. Just
It's like the next scene is exactly that. Two raptors make their way into the kitchen as the first one calls out for a second raptor. He does that call. I love from the third movie too.
Oh.
Yeah. I like the cat and mouse feel to the kitchen scene. The kids running around as the raptors investigate. It's unnerving when one of the raptors taps his middle claw on the ground. Oh, tap, tap, tap. Ugh. The kids continue to crawl on the ground while one of the raptors jumps on the bench. Lex distracts the raptors away from Tim, then tries to hide in a cupboard, but can't pull the door down. A raptor charges Lex, only to smack into a door. The image of Lex was a mirror image from a cupboard opposite. Tim runs into a freezer. A raptor chases him, but slips on some ice, and Tim and Lex trap the raptor in the freezer. They then run out of the kitchen, away from the dazed raptor that smacked into the shelves. Lex and Tim reach Alan and Ellie in the restaurant. They run to the control room. As they reach the control room, Alan realizes the door locks are not activating. He yells, "Boot up the door locks!" just as he stands back up to see a raptor in the door window. I love that when he pops up and is like right in his face. Like, oh, okay. Alan and Ellie try to keep the raptor out while Lex, the computer hacker, tries to reboot the systems. And yes, everyone always asks the question, why didn't Tim just give the gun to Ellie? It's like she's reaching for the gun and Tim's just with Lexi.
Because he's like, oh my god, my sister's going to help.
I'm there for moral support.
Yep. Grab the damn gun, Tim. He's just like...
Nah, it's a Unix system. I know this. It's all the files of the whole park. It tells you everything. I've got to find the right file. Lex finds the right file and boots up the door locks. What works? Phones, security systems, you name it. We got it. Meanwhile, in the bunker, the phone starts to ring. Hammond answers. Grant! Mr. Hammond, the phones are working. The children all right? The children are fine. Call the mainland. Tell them to send the damn helicopters. As I was saying before, it sounds like in a hostage negotiation now.
Call your people and tell them to send the helicopter.
Whoa, that turned dark.
I will be taking your son.
If you want to see either of your grown children alive, their helicopter will be waiting for me. All of a sudden, there is a cracking, pounding noise.
It's gonna cut through the glass.
Ellen, Ellie, and the kids grab a ladder and head for the vents. The raptor pops its head through as Lexi is on the panel. Ellen kicks the raptor, causing it to fall. Lex falls down but hangs onto the edge of the vent. The stunt double looks up in this shot, so they had to map the face of Ariana Richards over the face of the stunt double. Lex is pulled back up before the raptor can grab her. The group end up climbing onto the bone displays in the main part of the visitors center. A raptor also jumps on. They all eventually fall off onto the ground. The group is surrounded by two raptors. When one is about to attack them, it is grabbed by the T-Rex and killed. The other raptor attacks the T-Rex while the group run away outside. How did the T-Rex get into that visitor center is never explained.
That annoys me. It's like, haha, I'm going to jump at you. Then all of a sudden it's like,
Hello.
bite. And I'm just like, no. I didn't hear the...
Nothing around it is disturbed over. Like you say,
There's even scaffolding in the background with a big giant paint sheet that hasn't been touched. And I'm like, there's no way he's keeping his tail straight.
Hammond pulls up in a Jeep with Malcolm. Mr. Hammond, after careful consideration, I have decided not to endorse your park. So have I. The T-Rex kills the other raptor and throws it into a display, causing the banner, "When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth," to fall down as the T-Rex roars. The group leave the Jeep and get into the helicopter. As they are flying away, Ellie smiles. As the kids are sleeping in Alan's arms, Ellen smiles back. They then look out the window to see a flock of brown pelicans flying past. Ellen smiles. Maybe it's just nice to see non-Jurassic animals again.
I think it was too, because it's like is it the second or the third one when they're flying off at the end and there's the pterodactyls following them as well, but he's kind of smiling like life finds a way.
I was thinking, because I had to look it up, because I found that's why I said brown pelicans, because like, if those are a flock of condors, they're going extinct, what happened if I had condors? So maybe he did do condors?
Yeah, what if he's already got them? Yeah, flying across.
Yeah. That was fun, Matt. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good.
I always enjoy going through Jurassic Park, though.
I love Jurassic Park.
We're going to go through our ratings now for Jurassic Park. let's go through our ratings.
Nobody does it, Bennett.
Right, so let's go into our ratings for this week, Matt. So when it comes to story, what have you given it out of 5 stars?
Solid 5. You can't beat the story of Jurassic Park. You can't beat the story of a paleontologist, basically, doing his work, explaining to a kid why he loves his work and why he shouldn't be angry about his work, and then this entire marvellous thing unfolding from that. I loved it.
You're giving it 5 stars?
Yeah, 5.
I have also given it 5 stars. I think the story is, yes, it's scientific stuff that can be faulted, but as it from an entertainment value, this movie's amazing. I could watch it a million times and not get bored. I've watched it when I was taking notes for this. It took me about 10 hours to watch this to get the notes right, and I just kept going because I love this film.
Yeah, I've watched it 5 times in the last week, I think, and that's pretty unhealthy. But I still keep. It wasn't like I've got to watch it again. It was. I think I'm going to watch Jurassic Park again. And Holly was like, "Oh my god."
Sam Neill's really good, amazing. Jeff Goldblum's perfect.
Wonderful. Richard Attenborough.
Yeah, so the whole cast was top notch from top to bottom. You got Sam Neill, who was Alan Grant, was amazing. Laura Dern as Ellie, as well, was incredible. Jeff Goldblum is Malcolm. Richard Attenborough is, of course, Hammond. Bob Peck, who sadly passed away not long after this film in 1999, who was a really good Muldoon. I mean, I really enjoyed him.
He was perfect, actually. It was almost like a big game hunter, but he had the not aristocratic styling, but that was how he hunted. He was proud of everything.
B.D. Wong didn't have a big role as Dr. Wu in this. Kind of gets bigger later on. So this is good that he kind of plants the seeds. Even the likes of Joseph Mazzelio, who played Tim, and Ariana Richards, who played Lex. And, of course, the man, Samuel L. Jackson. Wayne Knight is Nedry as well, which you get everything. He was annoying, but he was so perfectly annoying. So, yeah, it was really good. So we've got acting already. So we've gone story, we've got acting. So we just listed all the actors. So surprisingly, I'm giving this 5 out of 5.
Yeah, same.
So it's just kind of, sorry, we answered that in the story, but 5 out of 5 for acting. So we're both 5 and 5 so far. So number 3, how well does it hold up?
Oh, you can't fault it. Find me one fault in it from a psychopathic hacker who already has a backstory of screwing over Hammond because Hammond is just a dick. Yeah. In the regards to they've already set up their money, like it's just the whole story is just perfect. And then they go and pick them up and blackmail Grant and Ellie to come and have a look at my island, and they're just like, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but holy crap, and then it just escalates from there.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5 myself. So you give it a 5?
Yep.
I've given it a 5 because the effects hold up, but also like sometimes when you go back and watch 90s and 80s films, ethically they don't hold up. Like they'll treat women like trash.
Yeah, you're not wrong, actually.
Ellie's actually a really strong character in this.
She is, actually. She's a real strong female lead.
Even stands up to Hammond when he's like, well, I should go because I'm a man.
Yeah.
And she addresses that really well.
And the whole woman inherits the earth.
Yeah. So, like I say, I've got to give that 5 as well. Comes to music, John Williams' score, I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah, that's a solid 5. It would have been a 4 if I hadn't have picked up on the complete dead silence during the T-Rex scene at the start. But yeah, going through that and then listening and being like, they actually picked up on a lot of the detail in that, and that made that entire scene.
The absence of music is just as important as when you actually add it.
It brought more of an atmosphere to that scene, having just the crunching of the metal, the rain, and the basically grunting of the animal.
And the main themes, like there's 2 main themes, is that da-da-da, 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 da-da-da-da. There's also the da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I like both of them. They're both great. They're both like a Jurassic Park, and that's what I think of every time.
One of them's actually my alarm clock. So when I wake up, I hear da, 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 da. I'm off to Jurassic Park. Right, so you've gone 5 for music as well?
Yep.
So you're saying you've got 5 for everything so far?
Yes.
And I've got 5 for everything so far. When it comes to visuals, Matt, what are you giving it? So picture like how's it well as it look filmed?
For a 93 movie, perfect. The animatronics in all the ways that they had the curling of the lips on the velociraptors, from the way that it was the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but he used to do the animatronics. He put the big boots on of the velociraptor. He was the one that even in the second movie stood on that guy's back. And in the first one, he was chasing the kids through the kitchen, and you could just tell it was the way that he moved with the legs. But that was all animatronics from people, not just...
And that's kind of more how it holds up. With visuals, it's more like how well it's shot. Like, does it look like a TV movie, or does it shot beautifully like cinematic? Like, for me, it has all these cinematic moments that you see the reactions first, and that's at least a filmmaker would just like, oh my god, those are brachiosauruses, and that would be like the wow moment. But it's the fact that they're so astonished, and you just stay on their faces.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, when they're like looking at the T-Rex and stuff, it's always from the expressions of the actors.
Yeah.
It's from their expressions and from what they're doing is what's actually creating the scene.
Yeah, 100%. I get that. Yeah, I like
That's why I like Spielberg. The way it's shot. It's the way it's shot that looks. It's masterful. And this is Spielberg when he was at his absolute best.
Oh, Mr. Malcolm.
He was doing this and Schindler's List at the same time, and he's like,
Oh,
yeah, he would never do that again because he was doing one that was like a popcorn flick, Jurassic Park, and he was doing one that was just so depressing and dark. It was hard to kind of split your time between those two because you have to have a set of mind, a frame of mind for both. But yeah, so you've given it. What are you giving it for visual? 5? 5, and I've given it 5. So this movie has gotten the very first MRU perfect score.
50 out of 50.
50 out of 50. It cannot be beat. It can only be matched.
Yeah, literally.
So it's beaten Jumanji, that used to be the top lead on 47.5 stars. It is now 50 stars. And
Oh, was that the original Jumanji too?
It was.
Oh,
yeah, it was top.
and this is beating it.
Because Alice gave it 5 stars, but I didn't give it 5 stars because some of the special effects have dated and a few other things. But yeah, that's 47.5 stars. That's a high score to beat.
Far out, yeah.
And now Jurassic Park has gone perfecto. 50 stars out of 50 stars. So Jurassic Park cannot be beat, can only be matched. And I think it's right.
Yeah, I think that's right as well.
This is a movie that I couldn't see a movie being better. I can see a movie being different and as good, but never better.
Nah, never better.
50 stars out of 50 stars, 25 each, 5 stars in every single category. Well done, Mr. Spielberg. I'm sure you'll be very pleased by this.
Yeah, when you listen to the podcast.
Yep. So when you email us and tell us how thankful you are for us mentioning you on our podcast.
And then offer us Alex Kidd small series and movie.
We've got the pictures ready to go for that, which you've heard in the previous episode, hopefully. Or if you haven't, why not listen to it? It's on Nobody Does It Bennett's page right now on Spotify or on other podcast outlets or at nobodydoesitbennett.buzzsprout.com. Right, so if you would like to write into the show and give us your thoughts on Jurassic Park, or maybe how bad our voices were. I think they were pretty good.
Nah, our voices were great. Surely.
I think my Nedry wasn't great, but I was just like running out of ideas for voices. Well, you can. Who knows? We may read them on air. You can by going to Nobody Does It Bennett's Facebook page, or you can hit us up on the Twitter at NobodyDIBennett. That's NobodyDIBennett on Twitter. You can also email us at nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com. That's nobodydoesitbennett@outlook.com. That's Bennett with 2 N's and 2 T's. Thank you, Matt, for joining me once more for what was a damn good time.
No problemo.
And thank you for listening. Remember, some others may do it better, but nobody does it Bennett. Take care.
It's the end of the show, and now it's time to go. Don't be sad, just be glad that nobody does it Bennett.